Yeah, yeah. Took the whole team to the promised land. Rest in peace to my father, man. Wish he could have seen the plan.
Yes, sir. And we're back to another episode of the Two Man Game podcast. This is a recap of the first round of the playoffs, NBA playoffs. It was great. One thing that stuck out to me though was no series went 7, which is always that sucks, man. No game 7. I feel like last year we had like 3 or 4 of them in the first round. So
last year there were a lot.
yeah. So let's get started, man. Kick us off.
So we'll take a look at the East matchup, the 1-8 Hawks versus the Heat. Mm-hmm. What do you think about it first round? What were your initial thoughts and all that good stuff?
How bad Trae Young played. That's the Hawks' best player. We know that by now. Only averaged 15. And so you can look at it both ways. You can look at it, I look at it one way, actually. I look at it as the Miami Heat defense is like that, right? You got all these guys that can switch on to him. I think you saw this Twitter post where they showed a possession that the Hawks had where Trae Young started out with Jimmy Butler guarding him. Then they switched and PJ Tucker's guarding him. Then they switched again. Then Bam is on him. And he's probably just like, damn, like what? I can't get no breaks. So yeah, that stuck out to me. And also he had more turnovers than assists in that series. So he had 30 assists, 31 turnovers, which is not good as the floor general number 1 option. So yeah, I mean the Heat beat him 4-1 and it was pretty handy. So
yeah, definitely looking at the series, what I took away was their defense, the Heat's defense, because it was what they did on Trae Young was phenomenal. I mean, you can't do a better job on a star player. He averaged 15, 5 and 6, and that's that's the guy who led the league in scoring points, and total assists in the league. Yeah. So totally shut him down. And just looking at their team, the PJ Tucker signing, like I'll keep stamping it. I think that signing was so big, not only his defensive, abilities and all that good stuff, but just he's not on the Bucks anymore. Yeah. And I loved what he brought for the Bucks and what he's bringing to the Heat. It's showing, and that just their defense, man. That was Trae Young. He had 30 turnovers and 22 baskets made the whole series. So when you're doing that, that's really impressive. Yeah. And Jimmy Butler played really good when he was out there, and Duncan Robinson gave you a little bit of a spark in the first couple of games. Mm-hmm. But just guys stepping up for them. Victor Oladipo stepped up when Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry missed the last 2 games. Gabe Vincent played really good. Max Strus played really good. Like, they're just a deep team, man. They're a really deep team.
Hey, and when you could bring that shooting off the bench with Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero, you're a really deep team, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
No, what they're able to do, it was really impressive. And going into the matchup against Philly, they're the favorites. I think for sure. And especially their defense, what they're going to be able to throw at James Harden, whatnot. It's going to be a fun series. We'll see how that goes, but definitely the Heat 4-1. It was pretty convincing that they were the better team, and we'll see what the Hawks could do after they had the great run last year. I was expecting big things from this year, but that didn't really happen. So. Yeah. We'll see what the Heat could do next series. I'm looking forward to that. So moving on to the 2-7 matchup, the Nets and Celtics, probably, the most anticipated first round matchup out of all these series. Boston swept them 4-0, and their defense was crazy the whole series. So what were your initial thoughts after the series and all that?
Man. If you told me the Nets would go into this playoffs and get swept, I would tell you get drug tested, right? With those 2 guys on their team, right? With Kevin and Kyrie, you expect them to be in every single game down to the wire. Now, it was like that, right? And it here's what I think. I think game one decided that series. So I believe the Nets in that second half of game one, they outplayed the Celtics, right? They came back. Kyrie had 39. He was really the main
His best game
workload.
of the series.
Right. Best game of the series. He had 39. The second half was going crazy. They're up, what is it? 1 going into that last possession where Tatum hit the game winner.
Yeah.
I think that just deflated everything, right? Because you go into that game, they didn't have Robert Williams. So you thinking from the start, you're like, okay, Brooklyn, they don't have Robert Williams. Even Bruce Brown said it. We're going to attack the bigs or whatever.
Yeah.
They have Daniel Tice and Al
Horford.
Horford. But they go into that game and lose. I think that really set the tone for the entire series. And obviously KD had probably the worst series of his career. And he also had 21 turnovers in 4 games. So that shows you right there. I do believe Kyrie should have shot the ball more.
There's some games where he
was just
seemed
non-existent.
like he wasn't shooting the ball as much as he should.
He was non-existent. And to put it in perspective, he only had 63 field goal attempts, and Marcus Smart had 57. So if you're shooting at the same pace as Marcus Smart, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my takeaways from that series.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway was the Celtics defense.
Yeah.
What they're able to do with KD and Kyrie, it was remarkable, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, KD averaged 26 in the series, but shot 38% from the field.
Yeah.
And like you said, with all those turnovers, and it was every time he's running off a cut, he's getting hit by multiple people. When he's catching the ball, he's seeing multiple people. They weren't making it easy on him. And for them to do that against one of the most elite players to ever play, you just got to tip your hat off to them.
Yeah.
And for them, Al Horford, he stepped up big offensively and defensively, of course. Marcus Smart had some good offensive games. And then Tatum, he was the best player on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked what I saw from the Celtics.
Yeah.
Since the All-Star break, obviously they've been one of the hottest teams in the league, and you could see what they're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
But for them to go out there and sweep them and put on that defensive, performance against KD and Kyrie and the rest of them, that's tough. And
that's
also
amazing.
just how physical that series was, because they're letting a lot of stuff slide.
That was the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah, a lot of, when guys are coming off screens, a lot of bumping on the catch, a lot of hand checking and all that. So that was cool to see. And it was a good series. I like both teams. I like the players on both teams. So I didn't really care who won or so, but the Celtics, man, I think they're the real deal. And Tatum, 29, 4.5, 7 assists in the series. His hands were all over the game. He was playing great defense on KD.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown was solid the whole series too, and just being able to throw these multiple bodies at KD.
Yeah,
I think that was able to wear him down over time. And Grant Williams was huge on defensively.
I love Grant. He's a big body, and he's not afraid to get it in.
Yeah, and he plays great defense. It's the Celtics. They're tough, and going into this next matchup against the Bucks with Middleton out, that's going to be huge.
Definitely favored going into the series.
So I can't wait to see what happens. It was really unfortunate Ben Simmons didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
He's dealing with back issues, mental issues. So it was just unfortunate to see. I wish we could have saw him play, see how we could have affected the game and whatnot. But it's all good. I guess hopefully we'll see him next year.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll
see him next year.
But yeah, man, that was I would say those were my biggest takeaways, just the Celtics defense and guys stepping up for them ultimately. So
it was good old fashioned playoff basketball. So
no, exactly. Could not put it any better. So the next matchup, Bulls and Bucks, the 3-6 matchup, 4-1 Milwaukee.
Yeah.
What were your takeaways from the matchup?
It's what we all expected. You know, I was high on the Bulls for the first half of the year, and I had to backtrack on that because I really did start watching them, and they just weren't a winning team. I don't know what it was, honestly. I don't know what it was, but initial thoughts. Grayson Allen had probably the series of his life. He shot 58% from three, went 14 of 24, so they couldn't stop that. Giannis did his thing, but the Bulls just weren't big enough. So once Vucevic went to the bench, they didn't have that second big to come in while the Bucks still had Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, and Giannis still on the floor. So they weren't big enough. They didn't match up well with them. DeRozan had a bad series. Levine had a bad series. They weren't shooting the ball well. And for them to have any chance of winning that series, they got to shoot
With the
upwards.
lights out.
Yeah, they got to shoot upwards 50% from the field,
Yeah.
right? DeRozan didn't hit a three. I mean, he didn't take a lot. He took 9, but he didn't hit any. And then, I mean, Levine missed game 5, so they just really didn't have a chance. Even when they won game 2, I didn't think they had any momentum because game 3, they came out and stunk the Chicago up and had maybe like 70 points. They just couldn't score the ball. So this is what we expected. So, I mean, Celtics Bucks next round. No Middleton, though. That's going to be big.
Yeah. Yeah. My initial thoughts were just the Bulls just aren't it right now. Those injuries with no Lonzo and Patrick Williams for a majority of the year and Caruso for majority or a good portion of the year, having those guys miss a lot of games, it definitely hurt them. And not having Lonzo, I think, was pretty big for them. Just to be able to space the floor. He's like hovering around 40%, probably more or less. I'd have to look exactly, but he's a good shooter now. So that would have gave DeMar and Zach some space. Just kind of like you said, the Bucks were too big for them.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I wouldn't say Drew Holiday had the best series or Middleton. Well, he got hurt, but I don't think Middleton had like a crazy series. But you see guys like Grayson Allen stepping up. I think Bobby Portis played pretty good for them. But overall, I thought the Bucks were the better team when it came down to it. Yeah. And DeMar DeRozan, they played great defense on him. Wes Matthews and Drew Holiday were all over him. So it was a kind of exactly what I expected. The Bucks and I would have thought for a sweat, but 4-1, that's a gentleman's sweep. So hopefully the Bulls could get healthy and for next year. And I'm looking forward to the Bucks and Celtics. We'll see what happens with Middleton, but that's really my initial thoughts. It was kind of one of my least favorite series, I guess you could say, just because I didn't think it was going to be as competitive. So that's what I thought.
No, that's funny though, because every time I look at the schedule for the day, while the first round was going on, I see Bucks Bulls. I'm just like, I was just like, I don't even want to see that game. So I understand where you're coming from.
There's always that like one first round matchup where you're just like, all right, well, we know what's gonna happen, so let's just get this series over with. But the Bulls were fun to watch for most of the regular season, and
they were.
It was just a bad matchup for them. So moving on, the 76ers and Raptors, the 4-5 matchup. I think this was one of the better series in the East. Going into it, I thought Nick Nurse was going to maybe outcoach Doc Rivers, run laps around him, and I think it was a lot closer series than 4-2. But what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny when the Sixers went up 3-0. Everyone is sort of thinking the same thing with Doc. Like, okay, are you going to close it out? And it's funny to think that like you're up 3-0, that should be, easy. Everybody should, okay, look towards the next round.
Yeah.
But then the Raptors win game 4 And then
You're
you're like,
like,
oh shit. Then they win game 5. You're
They
like,
waxed them, right?
yeah,
Game
yeah.
5, they waxed
They beat them
them.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're going back to Toronto, Nick Nurse, Doc Rivers.
You could steal a game.
Yeah, you're
Force
like,
it
this
to
is going 7. You're like, this is going 7 after a 3-0 lead. But credit to the Sixers. They stepped up. They beat them pretty good in game 6.
Yeah, that second
And
half.
yeah, James Harden did what he's supposed to do. I like the Sixers. I mean, I know Embiid being out is gonna kill him, and it's gonna make that Heat series so much. I don't know, just not fun to watch without their best player.
Mm-hmm.
But
That dude's a top 5 player, MVP
yeah,
caliber player. You want to see him out there. So.
yeah, but I still do like the Sixers, not to win that series, not to win that series, but I still do like them to be really competitive and have a chance to win that series, right? Tobias Harris was really good, averaged 17 on almost 50, 40, 90 splits. That's what they were missing last year when Ben Simmons was going through that, whatever he was going through. They were missing that extra player or that other option of Tobias Harris to step up. And he's supposed to, like, isn't he making like max money?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's supposed to do that. So Tyrese Maxey, 21 years old, averaged 21, 50, 40, 90 in this series. He played really good. So it's going to hurt them without Embiid, but I think they'll be competitive next round.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically everything you said, I totally agree with. Embiid, he was battling through a hand injury and still played pretty solid, 26-11 and 2.
Getting double teamed all series.
Yeah, getting double teamed all series. Maxey and Tobias Harris, they played good. Like you can't ask for more from them. James Harden, he struggled to shoot the ball a little bit. He still gave you 20 and 10, but you would like it to maybe be a little bit more efficient. That's my only thing I guess bad I could say about him.
Right.
On the Raptors side, Siakam, he balled out. Gary Trent Jr. balled out. Scotty Barnes balling out on a bad ankle.
Yeah.
Precious Achua was balling out. I like what the Raptors were able to do. They're always going to play good defense. They're not as deep, so maybe next year they'll be a little bit more deep. With Fred getting hurt, I know that's 20 points per game not playing, so that hurts them. But just what the Raptors were able to do and make it tough for Embiid, it was interesting. And yeah, I thought it was a good series. It's kind of what I expected. I had it going 6 or 7 games in Philadelphia's favor. So it was everything I expected, but it was cool though. It was
when Fred got hurt, they actually sort of played a little bit better because it allowed them to play that
bigger
lineup. That lineup with like 6'7", 6'8" wings. And they had Siakam basically running the point or something like that.
Or Scotty Barnes.
Yeah. And that's a really tough lineup. That's a really tough lineup to play against.
Well, think about it. You want to get someone off you. The next guy is going to be 6'6" or above. Yeah.
So, everybody that switches on to you is 6'8" long
exactly.
arms.
So it makes it tough. And it was a good series. It was a good one. But looking forward, when you go play against the Heat now, you're going to be doing the same thing, not as much length, but probably a little more feisty guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah. I mean, he can maybe pick out some matchups with Hero or Duncan Robinson, but you would have thought Trae Young was able to take advantage of that, and he obviously wasn't able to. So it was a good series. It sucks that Embiid's injury. He may miss a couple games, but hopefully he could come back. Not miss too many games. So that's the reason why they lost. You would like to see the Heat be able to just beat them and say, all right, injuries just suck, and it's a part of the game. Yeah. So moving out west, the 1-8 matchup, I think this was a lot closer than a lot of people thought. A lot of people had it as a sweep. So 4-2 Suns. I wrote down Pelicans. I
That's what you wanted to see. Yeah, that's what you wanted to see.
No. But what were your initial thoughts on that series?
Yeah, Suns went 4-2. CP3 stepped up, and this is sort of how the Suns roll. Like it's next man up. They
Yeah.
played without D Book before, and they played without Chris Paul before. So they're used to not having their best players. It helped that they played a under 500 Pelicans team. But I mean, D Book in the 3 games he played 23 on 50, 40, 80 shooting. So hopefully that hamstring doesn't continue to hurt him in this playoffs. But one thing that's on the Pelican side that stuck out to me, and the commentators were saying this all series, like those guys, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, they weren't scared of nothing. And they were coming at CP3, they were coming at Bridges, they were coming at whoever was defending them. And if you can keep this team together, and I keep saying this, with Zion, hopefully he comes in with 27 points per game sitting on the bench right now. That's basically what they were doing this without him. If they could bring him back, include him into the offense with BI, with CJ, who's been there before, this could be a really scary team. So they made it really closer than everybody thought it would be. And then, like you mentioned before we got on here, experience played a part. So they gutted it out.
Yeah. So my first initial thoughts were the Pelicans, their future is really bright.
Mhm.
Kind of like what you said with Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, and then even Murphy.
Trey
Able
Murphy,
to, yeah, he was able to shoot the shit out of the ball.
Mhm.
So you have all these solid rookies at it with the vets and Zion. Like you got yourself a pretty decent team.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So hopefully Zion can get healthy, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But CP3, that was kind of my biggest takeaway. Just
Yeah,
his hands were all over the game. Like
yeah. And then game 6, that was
yeah, game 6, 33 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. I believe he was 14 of 14.
14 to 14. Didn't miss.
Yeah, so that was crazy. But just what how just composed their team is.
Mhm.
When it comes crunch time, I feel like they never lose. It's crazy. Well, when you have Chris Paul, he's gonna put you in the right position to make plays and all that good stuff to win. And then DeAndre Ayton too, 20 and 10 in the first round.
Mhm.
That's he needed to step up with Devin Booker going out,
Mhm.
and he had the favorable matchup with Valanciunas going against him.
Yeah.
So it was a good series to see Ayton do his thing.
For sure. That's what he needed to do. He needed to step up.
Yeah, no, exactly. And with Devin Booker being down, he did that. So
Mhm.
props to him. Brandon Ingram too. He was balling out the whole series.
That was what, 27?
Yeah, 27 in the series. So that's
I don't
a hell
know what game that was. I believe it was game 2 in Phoenix, where he just in the second half was making tough shot after tough shot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, like he's hitting turnaround fadeaway jumpers, getting to the rim, finishing. I'm like, this dude is a monster. So
yeah, they got some good pieces. I'm looking at it. If CJ McCollum's your third option, maybe. I mean, who knows? But you're in a good spot. Or Brandon Ingram's your third option. You're in a good spot. So it was a good series. It was an exciting series. Willie Green, what he was able to do for the Pelicans this year
I like
was,
Green.
I think he was huge for them.
Yeah.
And moving forward, it's they're going to be in a good spot. And the Suns, hopefully they can get healthy. And their next matchup against the Mavericks, that should be a fun one too.
Yeah. CJ only shot 39% too. Imagine if he shot maybe 45.
Yeah. Well, they're doing a good job on it.
Yeah.
They were playing good defense on him. So and guys, I didn't mention this, but guys stepping up for the Suns. You know, players every other game, there's another guy stepping up.
Yeah, no, they're used to it, man. They're used to it.
No, exactly. So moving on, the Grizzlies and Timberwolves. This was one of my most anticipated matchups that I was looking forward to. 2 young teams squaring off in the playoffs, and I think after watching all the games, you could tell there was a lack of experience in these games.
For sure.
One stat that popped out to me, the Timberwolves were minus 62 in the fourth quarter in that series.
That's experience.
Well, yeah. So what I wrote down under it was inability to close, young team, giving up offensive rebounds, and just silly shots.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, they had a really high offensive rebound rate. The Grizzlies did. So, but yeah, I mean, it was 4-2, but this was one of the series that should have went 7 easily.
Hold up. No. It could have ended in
been
5.
4-2. Yeah.
It could have ended in 5 in the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
in their favor if they were a little bit smarter in their lack of experience showed, but continue.
It could have. The T-Wolves outplayed the Grizzlies for sure. And then Memphis had 3 guys shoot under 40%, which is amazing to me. Like 3 rotational players shot under 40, including Ja. So it was Ja, Dylan Brooks, and Jaren Jackson Jr., who was just in foul trouble a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to have 5 fouls in 20 minutes every game, which he has to fix that. But Desmond Bane was probably the second best player in the series behind, I would say, Ant Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he sort of willed them to a win, or just in general. I mean, Ja averaged 10 assists, but he shot 38%, bro. 20 from the 3 and it's 71 from the line. That's not going to get it done. I don't anticipate him doing that next series. I know we talked a little bit about this beforehand. Right now, I'm telling you, the Grizzlies win. Grizzlies Warriors, the Grizzlies will win, right? Call me crazy, but we got $20 on it. We got $20 on that series.
Okay.
But yeah, Memphis or Minnesota blew too many leads. They had 2 20-point leads in the same game. I believe it was game 3 or 4. They had a 26-point lead, blew that, and did another 20-point lead and blew that. Like, you can't do that. That comes with experience, though. So they got it under their belt. So hopefully in the next 5, even longer than that, years, if they stay together, Minnesota's gonna be tough.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway was Bane and Clark, how big they were for the Grizzlies.
Yep.
Clark just gave you that offensive rebounds, good energy, and just good solid play all around. When you have Jaren Jackson Jr. barely playing, if they want to have a chance against the Warriors, he has to be on the court. He can't be fouling, every minute and not play more than 30 minutes a game. And Ja Morant, obviously, I expect him to play better against the Warriors. But yeah, just the lack of experience, I would say that's my biggest takeaway. If you're a team like the T-Wolves and you have these big leads, you expect to win. And when you play bad basketball, that's what's going to happen. And the Grizzlies, to their credit, they battled through these big leads and being able to come back. So, they did what they had to do. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. So moving forward, I think the Warriors and Grizzlies will be a good matchup, like we discussed before we got on here.
I got Memphis, man.
You have Memphis. I have Warriors. I think they win in 5, but I think the lack of experience is gonna be bad for the Grizzlies. I'm just saying, listen, if you play that bad against the T-Wolves, which the T-Wolves, they played solid. Like, they were playing good defense on Ja Morant. They're making it tough for him. And like you said, Jaren Jackson Jr., they're attacking him. He didn't have a great series. But if you're doing this against an experienced team, like if they play how they played against the Timberwolves, against the Warriors, with these just being down and stuff like that, the Warriors are going to be able to take advantage of it. That's just how.
And like I said, your points are 100% correct. Experience matters, especially the Warriors who've been there. 3 out of 5 championships in a stretch. But just to combat that a little bit, Memphis, they're a young team. So if, like you said, if the Warriors can keep it half court, they probably have the advantage. But if the Warriors can get out, if Memphis can get out and run, they have home court. So that game 5 will be in Memphis if it's a 2-2 series. I think Memphis has a good chance.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Tomorrow that series kicks off.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't wait. Yeah, $20 on it. And
$20.
also just a shout out to Anthony Edwards. He's a star in the making.
Yeah, he was
Dude
hooping.
averaged 45% from the field, 40% from three on nine attempts a game. So
Yeah, he's
he
hooping.
was
He's hooping.
yeah, he was really good, and I love what he brings to the table. He has that good cocky confidence in him, but he just what he brings to the table, I think that's big for Minnesota. Hopefully D'Angelo Russell will step it up. He wasn't very good
Yeah, he
in
wasn't
that
good.
series. But overall, yeah, it was a fun series. It was one of the ones that I looked forward to the most, and it was everything I expected for the most part.
Mhm.
So moving on to the 3-6 matchup, Warriors and Nuggets.
Yep.
Warriors 4-1. What do you think about that series?
Yep. So we talked about that first round matchup where you just noted expectation. Well, you know what's going to happen, and you kind of really don't pay attention to it. So we talked about Bulls Bucks and on the Eastern side. So this was my Western Conference first round matchup where I'm just like,
The Warriors, though, it's the Warriors.
I don't look who they playing. They playing Jokic and Will Barton and Monte Morris.
You're hating, bro. Jokic.
Look,
is
If the
my
Nuggets were healthy,
CTE.
this has probably been the best first round matchup overall.
Oh yeah.
Right? So they're missing their second and third best players. But anyway, this series had a bunch of crazy stats that I wanted to just point out. So the Warriors, 3 guards, obviously Poole, Steph, and Clay. They all shot 50% from the field and 40% from 3, which is like what? What? And Steph only shot 74% from the line.
Yeah, he missed so many.
He missed so many free throws, and it's like weird seeing that.
Yeah.
Draymond had 37 assists and only 8 turnovers. So it was complete dominance. I feel like, they should have swept them. But, whenever you have an MVP candidate, he should be able to win you one game, which he did. And Jokic averaged, 31 on 57% shooting.
31, 13, and basically 6 assists. So.
Yeah. But he had a bunch of crazy turnovers, too, that are unlike him. He was just throwing the ball all over the place. So, which credit to the Warriors defense. Draymond Green is a force, bro. I remember game 1, he had Jokic in a fucking sand trap.
Straight jacket.
Yeah, straight jacket. So shout out to Draymond. Shout out to the Warriors. They won 4-1. And I got $20 on them losing next series. So
yeah, so my first initial thought was props to Jokic. What he was able to do this year was crazy. And in the playoffs, he continued that dominance. For them to even be a 6th seed with that team, it's props to him. He won out all year, and Michael Malone is one of the better coaches too. But it was I expected the Warriors to get it done. It was fun to watch, man. Steph Curry coming off the bench first couple games, still cooking, missing free throws, which is crazy. Seeing Klay Thompson in the playoffs again, man, that was really cool to see as a Warriors fan. I was stoked to see that. He averaged 22 in the playoffs this past series too. So that's tough. It's good to see after the injury, those 2 injuries. So that was cool. And then the emergence of Jordan Poole, man, he was going crazy in that first series. So it was everything I expected. The Warriors were the better team. Jokic didn't have much help, and Gary Payton II, what he was able to do in that series, especially that game 5
where he hit those 2 threes.
The 2 biggest shots of the game damn near. So what he was able to do, and then Draymond Green looking like playoff Draymond Green, being able to play good defense and create shots for others, and he was shooting the ball pretty solid too.
If he can hit those, when he hits those top of the key threes, it's over for the team they play. When he hits those, it's over.
Yeah, no, it was a good series. As a Warriors fan, I loved what I saw. and I'm looking forward to.
But
the
guess what?
Grizzlies.
Here come Memphis, baby.
Um,
Here comes
yeah.
Memphis. Now,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I do. Obviously, I think the Warriors are the best team in the West, not named the Suns, right? But I just think Memphis gonna get them. I don't know. It's just a hot take. Hot take. I think Memphis gonna get them.
Well, it's all right. I'll be getting some dinner on you in a couple of weeks. So shout out to you. Moving on, 4-5 matchup. This matchup was a pretty solid matchup. The Jazz just make me sick to my stomach. Let me just say this.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Talk to him.
All right. So if I am Rudy Gobert, he's better than me because if I'm playing elite defense and I'm not getting the rock, when I have a smaller player on me, sealed under the basket, I'm cursing someone out. I'm cussing. I'm cussing everybody out. And when I watch them, it just hurts sometimes. It really does. Because I'm not asking you to post Rudy Gobert up 10 times a game, but I just want to see decent basketball where if the man has a mismatch and he's sealed under the post, why not take the points and give him the ball, let him dunk it, and he's gonna be happy and play good defense.
Yep.
I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. And to your point, guys like Clint Capella have made a name for themselves, just sealing a smaller guard, catching a lob. You ain't got to bring the ball down. Catch the lob, dunk it, get back on defense, right? I think if Clint Capella was in that same situation, he'd be averaging 16 and 10.
Yeah.
Right? Off 8 lobs, not even 8 lobs, but just off dunk it or duck ins, get his man behind him.
Yeah, no,
right.
Exactly.
And James Harden would get him the ball every single time in Houston. So it's really disgusting seeing how they do Rudy Gobert.
And I don't know if it's lack of IQ on the Jazz side, but I don't know if I could say that because Mike Conley's been in the league for a decade. He's been a solid point guard his whole career. Yep. So I don't know what it is. Obviously, Rudy, he's not the best offensive player. I'm not asking you to post him up 10 times a game.
You don't have to post him up 1 time a game.
Exactly. But you got to be able to find a mismatch. And in the playoffs, when points are hard to come by in the playoffs, and especially for the Jazz, where they average 99 points per game in this series, if you could get an easy bucket on a mismatch, I think you would like that. But that's my rant for the day.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But the Jazz or the Mavs, I'm sorry, they won the series 4-2. And also another poke at the Jazz. Luka doesn't play the first 3 games.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not going to take care of business?
Exactly.
Like, come on, man.
Look, they allowed Jalen Brunson to lead the first round in total points scored with 167. Can't happen. Jalen Brunson cannot average 28 per game that series.
Yeah.
It can't. He just can't. So
it was the Jazz, I feel like I just keep attacking the Jazz.
Yeah.
The Jazz perimeter defenders could not stay in front of anybody the whole series. It was Jalen Brunson was getting whatever he wanted. Luka, when he came back, was getting anything he wanted. I don't know. I don't know if their spirits were just broken or something's going on in their locker room or whatnot, but they just looked defeated from the jump.
Yeah.
it did not look good for them.
It's over. Quinn Snyder, I believe, is gone. Donovan Mitchell, I believe, is gone. And the Jazz will be rebuilding in the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
That's just my take. D Mitch only shot the ball, or he scored 26 a game this year, but he only shot it at 39%.
Yeah,
that can't happen.
His efficiency wasn't very
you
good.
got to be efficient. You have to. You just got to.
Let me ask you something. Is he a player who could be your number 1 option, or do you think he would be best as a number 2 option?
It's a good question. I do think he has the capabilities of being a number 1, right? you can see it since he's been a rookie. He's been at least the number one or number two option. They've been first, second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that may tell you something to where he needs another guy to be that number one.
Yeah, well, they definitely need like another 20-point scorer or someone near him.
Right,
I mean,
right.
that would be good.
It might be on the same level of Bradley Beal in DC, where Bradley Beal has shown he could score 30, but it doesn't translate to winning basketball.
Mhm.
So that might be that's a good question. I do think on a championship team, he might have to be a number two. Might have to be.
No, I feel it. But yeah, also one of my takeaways from this series was the Mavericks defense. I mean, I knew that it was one of the better defenses already coming into the league, coming into the playoffs, and just seeing what they were able to do. I mean, the Jazz averaged 113 points per game this year in the regular season, and to hold them to 99 points
99.
per game, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward. I think the Suns and Mavs, that's going to be a great little chess match between Luka, Chris Paul going at it. It's going to be fun.
Even it's going to be interesting to see Jason Kidd and Monty Williams, their adjustments and how they progress throughout the series. So
yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. It's gonna be fun. So looking into the future, so that's the whole first round matchups. It was a fun first round. I'm looking forward to the second round. What is your most anticipated second round matchup?
it's tough, man, because in the East, you got major injuries, right? So you have Middleton hurt, and then you also have Embiid. We don't know his timetable. So I would probably look out west and say Memphis and Golden State would be my most anticipated. Obviously, for different reasons, we have money on the line. I have the hope Memphis proves me right. I don't want to look like an idiot on here. But yeah, I mean, the Western Conference matchups I think are the most intriguing. I think Mavs Suns will be really good. That will probably go 7, especially if they win 6 with the Pels. So I think that'll probably go 7. Luka, D-Book, they coming back from injury. We'll see how they play, and hopefully they don't get hurt. So, yeah, I think the Western Conference is going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to the Celtics defense once again and see what they were able to do against Giannis. He averaged 25 against them this year, and that's under his season average. Like 25, that's not a lot, but yeah, so only 25.
No, only 25, right?
Yeah. So I want to see what the Celtics defense can do. They just played the best defense I've ever seen against Kyrie and KD, and Giannis is a whole different animal. I mean, driving wise and all that good stuff. So that I'm looking forward to that. And obviously the Warriors and Grizzlies, they got their little so-called beef with Dylan Brooks and Andre Iguodala.
Yep.
So
yes,
it seems like they always want to show up against the Warriors, but Steph Curry averaged 36 against them this year. So
you had to add that in.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah. So
and that's a wrap, everybody, for this episode of the Two Man Game podcast. First round analysis. Second round is beginning tomorrow as we stand, because it's Saturday right now. Appreciate your time. We always love doing this. And
see y'all next time.
we out.